Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm a 38-year-old gay man living in Bondi Beach, and I do advocacy work in the alcohol space and also do a lot of community participation work, especially in the LGBTQ+ community. So I grew up in a regional area up in Cairns in far north Queensland, and I started drinking young. Like I was probably 12, 13, stealing alcohol from my folks, alcohol cabinet. I think a lot of people in the queer community, experience higher rates of alcohol use. And it was kind of, I guess, the way that society viewed it is that it was okay, because I was the gay guy, I was the funny guy, I was the funny drunk, I was always up for socializing. By the time I got to my 30s, it was just out of control. I was drinking every day, drinking in private. When everybody else would go home and go to bed, I would go home and keep drinking. So I think the big problem with alcohol is there's a lot of shame and stigma. I didn't know how it would be received with my friends and family, and that had a huge impact on delaying the time that I would seek help. By the time I hit 32, my mental health was at its lowest, and I thought, I've got to do something here. There was a little spark in me that was like, okay, I've got to get some help. And luckily, I found a doctor that was just really, supportive, queer-friendly, and it changed my life. Just having that little conversation with the doctor just escalated. He knew that I could get out of it, and he supported me through it. So I did a medical detox process, and the rest is history. Here I am. It's nearly 6 years later, alcohol-free. When I have a sober milestone, I usually do something quite silly or ridiculous, such as running the city to surf. But usually I celebrate with close friends. I now frame it as something more important to me than a birthday or anything like that. It's a real achievement that I'm so proud of. It's a really important check-in as well with me to be like, oh gosh, look how far I'd come. Like I might do a little bit of reflection. Like I'm obviously haunted by my old posts on Facebook that all revolved around alcohol, and then I think about the life that I lead now, which is active, it's fit, my mental health is far better than it ever was. So there's just simply not enough support services. As soon as you leave, there's not enough in metro areas, but as soon as you step out of a metro area to a regional or rural place, the supports are just almost non-existent, right? And that's outrageous. If you've got a broken leg, you would go to the hospital immediately and you would get care, But when people are reaching out to change their relationship with alcohol, they experience all these barriers, stigma, no service, healthcare professionals not coming on board with what they're saying, We need government intervention, we need proper support and services to help people change their relationship with alcohol. It's actually not rocket science. So I think sometimes, when I'm sharing my story and doing advocacy work, there is kind of 10% of me that feels really vulnerable. I feel really kind of, that's what we call, the alcohol brain kind of sneaking in, just like, oh, what happened? What would really happen if you, had one drink? But overall, I'm nearly 6 years in. I feel pretty bulletproof now, which is great. But you can't get too, comfortable, This is something that I'll probably have to, focus on for the rest of my life, and that's okay. I've got a fantastic life now. I love my life. Swim in the ocean every day. It's fantastic. I've got all these things that I've built over the years that are really protective, and are gonna, support me forever.